Hello YouTube, my name's Old Fox, and here's my review of Star Trek Enterprise. A lot of Trekkies hate this show, and I kind of see why. Don't get me wrong, the show has its flaws, but there's some aspects to the show that I love. One of them being that the show is primarily a prequel, to all the Star Trek lore. But it's not like, as most Trekkies call it, TOS, or the original Star Trek, with William Shatner as James T. Kirk. But this has something that none of the Star Treks really had. That is the whole point of the first 2 seasons, maybe 3, of just pure exploration of space. And that is what I love. To see the crew of the Enterprise and XL1 Enterprise, if you don't watch this show or never heard of it, bomb around space, not knowing what's out there besides the Vulcans, and just figuring stuff out for themselves. That is the storyline that I love, and I wish they would have done more of it. But for some odd reason, they decided to go with this whole Time War thing. And that is where the show falls flat for me. Most people really don't like Captain Jonathan Archer or Scott Bakula. I know I'm not pronouncing his name right, but it is kind of hard to say for me. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it's kind of hard. And I don't see why people fault him for his portrayal of Captain Jonathan Archer. I remember seeing some of the first runnings of this show, but I never remember exactly the whole story why they picked Scott to actually play Jonathan Archer. But you know what? He works for me. I mean, he may be a little older in the show, but I think that kind of just brings out more from his acting. Now, the rest of the cast, to me, you can't beat it with a stick. I mean, you got a female Vulcan, which we really never see in most other Star Treks, playing a main role. I mean, we may have a few female Vulcans pop up from here now and then in other shows like TNG, Deep Space Nine, but they don't have a main role or a recurring role. And with T'Pol, whose actor I cannot quite remember off the top of my head, I'm sorry, you get to see not only the Vulcan side of things, but you also get to see the female Vulcan side of things. Sure, you got Mr. Spock, but in a way, to me, I don't think they gave Leonard Nimoy much of a direction to take what exactly Vulcan is. Now, with T'Pol, who, as I said, whose actor I cannot remember, and I am very sorry, I don't know if they gave her free roam, or I was actually coaching her from the sidelines exactly how she was supposed to act. But to me, she was pretty good as an actor. Now, we move on to the other cast members, the other supporting cast. Malcolm Reed, the tactical officer. Charles Tucker III, the engineer. And Travis, the navigator. and Dr. Phlox, who was the chief medical officer for the ship. Whoever decided the casting in my book did a very good job at casting these people. And I really like how this one, despite the original series being more open about who they casted, but this one seems to be a bit more culturally diverse. Now, it's sad in the show, Hoshi, the helm officer, you really don't know exactly where in Asia she is from. I've always guessed that with a name like Hoshi, she's either Japanese or Chinese, but the show never does specifically state where exactly she's from. Which I'm pretty sure there's people with more lore knowledge than I that can actually tell you. But the casting of this show was top notch. They picked who they liked. And sure, the whole Time War thing kind of made the show fall flat. But in my book, if you want to sit down and watch it, it's still on Netflix and Hulu, by the way. Sit down and watch it. Don't go past, I think it's season 4. There's 5 seasons in total. But if you can at least sit through and watch the first 3 seasons, even pass by the shows in those seasons that has to deal with the whole Time War thing, it's an awesome show. Just watching the first Broken Bow epilogue show, it will have true veteran Star Trek fans salivate. Excuse me, sorry. At the aspects of seeing what would probably be considered as proto-Klingons. I mean, these are Klingons that not even Kirk knows. And there is a show later on in the series, I can't remember, I think it's either season 4 or 5, that kind of explains why the Klingons look like they do in the original series. Now, if you're not a fan of the original series and don't know, what they did is pretty much brought in people with darker skin tone, gave them some more darker makeup, made them wear darker hair, and just pretty much dressed them up in an offset way of what they dressed the Starfleet uniforms as more colorful. With the Klingons, they did it more of a darker tone. But anyway, this is where you see the Proto-Klingons. They have the ridges like you see in TNG, like Mr. Worf. And then, like I said, later on in the show, you get to see how they become the Klingons that Kirk knows. And in a way, I kind of like that. Now, as I said in the beginning, this is way before humans really knew anything about space, and that is why I love Star Trek Enterprise. You get to see humans interact with not only Vulcans, who they kind of have a love-hate relationship for, which is very prominent in the first season, by the way. And then they find the Tellarites, the Andorian, which I love in this show. The Andorians in this show, that just blows my mind. In no other Star Trek do we go behind the scenes of the Andorians. Now, if you don't know, you're not a Star Trek fan, the Andorians are the blue-skinned people with the antenna here. And to see the lore behind the Andorians and to have more presence than any other Star Trek. I'm afraid this might go a little bit over, because there is a lot to talk about Star Trek Enterprise, and I am sorry. But the interaction between humans and these new races and species they are meeting is why I love Star Trek Enterprise. A lot of people hate it, but I say if you don't go past season 3 and stay away from the whole Time War thing, you'll sit there and like, wow. Because they seriously did a lot of stuff. I don't know if they went and found some of Gene Roddenberry's original notes or what they've done to actually bring some of these species lore into the show. But from what they did in the show, I mean, it will wow you. Now, unfortunately, there is something past season 3 that might be considered whole time warmy thing, but it's the Xindi. And if you can forgive the Time War thing and sit there and watch what they have to do to try to contact the Xindi, try to get them to figure out why they attacked Earth. Sorry, spoiler warning. But let's just sit there and that will wow you. They don't have the technology of Kirk era. They don't have the technology, nowhere near the technology of Picard era, TNG. They're on their own. Their only main ship is NX-01 Enterprise until the Columbia gets built. But the Columbia, by the time it's built, she has a lot of problems and really don't work with the Enterprise much. You get to see her for maybe 3 episodes, and that's it. Now, but this show, give it a chance. If you like other Star Treks, give it a chance. It's better than JJ Prize, that's for sure. And for those who don't know, it's for the J.J. Abrams Star Trek that came out a couple of years ago. But give it a chance. It's on Netflix. It's on Hulu. Sit down with a bowl of popcorn or your favorite snack and spam watch at least the first season. Give it a good chance, and you'll find out that, hey, I kind of like this in a way. Yeah, sure, I hate the Time War stuff, but the rest of the storytelling is awesome. And I actually, as an amateur writer, have bounced off the whole idea of what the writers really wanted to do, and have humans in era where they're trying to explore space. I've actually made a whole storyline myself of that. I won't tell you what it is because I'm still working on it, and I really would like to get it published. But Star Trek Enterprise in a whole, to me, if you're a Trek fan, give it a watch. Give it one small chance. It may wow you. But that is what I think about Star Trek Enterprise. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. If you watched it. If you haven't watched it. If you might watch it. Let me know. But as a review, awesome storyline, awesome art. Sorry for the notification. Awesome art, awesome acting. And some of it could be a little corny at times, but still. I'm not going to give a grading scale for this. No way. It's just not fair. But if you want something to watch, give it a watch. it technically 5 season long. Excuse me, sorry. Technically 5 seasons long. So it's a good 5 seasons worth of viewing if you have nothing better to do. But as always, this is Fox, and let me know what you think.